Hello everyone, Jack here from Backyard Engineering. And in today's video, we're coming off of the monkey bike project and going over to something else, another series on the channel, which is fixing up my road legal quad bike. So this right here is a Quadzilla XLC 300 Stinger. I bought this maybe a month ago, something like that. And it is a fully road legal quad bike, so it's a manual as well. But there are a few bits that we need sorting out on it. A few bits I've already done before I started sort of uploading the videos of this. But one thing we do need to do today, which is going to be the starting of the series, is need to bleed the brakes. So recently, I put on a new front brake master cylinder, because before basically it was just done all off of the rear down there. So I swapped that over, the new lines going up to here. But the brakes, they just go all the way in. They do work, but not amazing. So we're going to be bleeding out the front and rear brakes. I started bleeding them out just manually, but it didn't work very well, so I bought myself a little brake bleeding kit. So it's got a little vacuum pump, little cylinder for the old fluid to go in, loads of adapters, and so we're going to be using this. We've got some brake fluid here, so we're going to be going through step by step on how to bleed the brakes. It'll be a very, very similar process on any quad bike, motorbike, anything like that. So you've got any of them and you're trying to bleed brakes, this will be how you do it. The old fashioned way, which I did try, is basically pump up the brakes, hold it down, then crack the bleed nipple off on the caliper. When the fluid comes out, there'll be a few air bubbles and you keep doing that. But as this had a whole new line and new master, there's still a lot of air in the system, it seems like, at least. So yeah, let's jump right into it. Okay, so how it all works is pretty simple. Start on this end. That cap there goes over the brake nipple itself, the bleed nipple. The fluid will then get pumped up the line into the little tank here. This here, as you pump it up, builds pressure, or makes a vacuum in the system. As soon as you crack off the bleed screw, fluid will get sucked into here, and you can see all the air bubbles coming into the cap here. So start off by taking off the reservoir cap so you can actually see your level. Then as you're pumping it through, make sure you keep that topped up, because you don't want to then get another airlock through the system by introducing it, by not having it topped up enough. So yeah, let's start with that. Right, so the cap just pops off with 2 Phillips screws on it there, so you can see the fluid in there. A little bit of crap in there, but it's not horrific. And then the bleed screw down there, it's just an 8mm, so just get a spanner on that once you've popped the cap on that to start bleeding it through. So yeah, let's see how we do it. Sweet. Okay, so the first thing you want to be doing is this cap here. Come closer. Perfect. That cap there. So you pop that cap there off, just like that. If it was an 8mm nut, we'll start off just by cracking it off a little bit, just to get the pressure off of it. Make sure there's no fluid coming out just yet. And then on the bleeder, that cap there pops over on top of that, just on there nice and tight, and then you just release that off the rest of the way, just making sure you're keeping the cap on. So you can see a little bit of fluid's coming out there now. Then what we'll do, get a can of brake fluid and the actual bleeder itself, and then this is the bit you want to be focusing on. So the reservoir up here, we're making sure you're keeping that topped up, and then you're pumping this bleeder here. So doing that builds pressure, and you can see over here the fluid level is dropping, and you can see all the air bubbles coming out of that line. So you're just keeping this, slowly pumping this up, keeping the fluid topped up, and just keeping an eye on that little tank there, making sure that it's not getting too full. But you want to be quite careful that you don't let the level drop below where you can't see it, otherwise you'll have another air bubble right at the top of your line, and it'll take quite a while to actually get it out. So there doesn't need to be too much air in this side of the line. can see on the pressure gauge there how much pressure, or how much vacuum actually it's got. So when you want to stop, just leave it, let the vacuum come back up to normal pressure. Just keeping the level topping up, and that will just help suck through any air bubbles. So we've got quite a few out at the beginning there. We'll swap over to the other side in a moment and see what we can't get out of that one. Okay, so the process is exactly the same on the other side. So you just start pumping that. The level on the top will start to go down. Might just have to crack this one off a little bit further. There we go. So you're just keeping that topped up, keeping pressure in the system there. So yeah, just bleed these ones here out. Doesn't matter if you spill some. The best way to get rid of it, if you spill any, is just water. It neutralises it. So if you get any on any brake fluid, any paint or anything like that, just spray it with water. Otherwise it will ruin all the paint. Not that I know from experience. Okay, so on for the rear brakes. The rear brake fluid reservoir is a bit buried on this, so instead of taking all the rear body off to do it, just taking the seat off, little side panel here, and you can see it just down here. So it's just a little 10mm holding it in down that way, so I've just moved it up so I can get to the cap, so I can just pour it on like that. So it's just a case of just take this cap off, just again 2 Phillips screws going all the way through it, and then just another 8mm on the rear caliper. So we've got it all connected up now. So brake fluid reservoir's a little bit hard to get to, but I'm going to make a bit of a mess, but oh well, good enough. And you see on the rear caliper, we're going to hook this up. It was hooked up, it just fell off. Quality. So that just pops onto there, like that. And what we'll be doing, we'll just be chucking the fluid just down there like that into that, and then we're going to start pumping. See all the air bubbles coming out there. If it comes disconnected, just let me know, yeah? See lots of air bubbles coming out through there. That's the end of the fluid there. Just pop that cap off of there. Cover that with my finger. Just tighten that up. Don't have to go too mad with it, just nip it up. Pop the cap back on. And there we go. So now what we'll do, box it all back up together, wash it all off with just water, and see how it goes. So yeah. So if you just saw the ride, brakes are all working perfectly well. So yeah, everything seems to be all good on that. There's a few other bits we need to tidy up. I want them, the indicators at the minute are up here. The OEM spots are all here, so I want to put them back. So they're a bit of wire in there. A few rattles on it just from loose bodywork. So I've got some bodywork screws, little kit just there. So in another video we're going through all of that. And a few other little bits, just tidying it up. And then just seeing we'll go from there in the future. Maybe an engine swap. Could be something quite fun to do. Not too sure yet. That won't be for a while yet, but just something in the future. Anything else that you guys want to see done to this, just pop it in the comments. We're doing a service on it soon, maybe some brakes, actual brake pads and discs. So we'll be doing a video on that, on how to do all of that. So yeah, just want to thank everyone for watching. Staying tuned for the next part of this and the next part of the monkey bike and whatever else comes next. So yeah, thank you very much.